Hello! So, the snow has melted, and today's weather in Poland is like more autumn than winter. But Christmas are coming, and the next thing I should do is something that my son asked me to make. And he asked for some kind of holy snail from the game War Thunder. This snail is called Gaijin, I think. And he wanted a plush toy, so this is what I will try to make today. And I have to create a pattern because I don't have any internet patterns for something like this. So this is my invention, my workshop's design. So give me some thumbs up for luck and watch me strain my brain and struggle with stretchy fabric to make this creature alive. Let's go! First thing I need to do is draw a plan. I am trying to imagine what this creature might look like in real life. This snail isn't a character I am familiar with because I don't play online games myself. I prefer scenario-based or open-world games, so I don't even know if I will get in trouble for creating Gaijin, but I hope not. After all, War Thunder is available for everyone and quite popular. Do you play this game? Let me know which video game is your favorite. So this snail has arms, a red robe, white apron with logo, and this cane. I actually don't know if cane is the right word for this object, but I will just use the word cane. If it's not good, you just let me know in the comments. I think I need a face, a bottom that goes from the head all the way to the tip of the tail. I need to mix the back from 2 pieces. That will be the length of the bottom plus the head. The bottom of the face will make the lower antennae dimensional, plus arms, one pointing upwards and the other straight, which I will later bend to hold the cane. I am drawing these shapes by eye on a piece of paper. For larger elements, I taped 2 sheets of paper together. This project is a bit too large for my small desk, and I apologize for that, but I hope you can more or less see what I'm doing. I have to admit right away that I am no sewing expert. I sew because I enjoy it and I make a lot of mistakes, but I always manage to come up with something, so believe me, you don't need to be really skilled to sew your favorite characters. I need to measure the side length to plan the back pattern length. At that moment, I realized that my plan is incorrect and the antennae should be on the other side because back pieces will be sewn together with the curved edges, so the longer ones would be connected to the edge of the snail bottom. I don't know if what I'm saying makes any sense, but you'll have to trust me. Okay, now that I have the patterns ready, I need to cut them out of fabric. I bought the cheapest fleece blanket, especially for this purpose, because it matched the color. First, I need to sew the lower part of the head to the lower part of the body, as well as the two back pieces together. This time I won't be sewing by hand. I'll do it on my sewing machine off camera because my machines are in a different room. First, I sew loosely by hand so the pieces won't move while sewing on the machine. Stretchy fabric often do this, so it's better to hand stitch them or secure them tightly with pins. I am sorry that you can't see me sewing on the machines. I simply don't have the possibility to show you this process, but someday when I have my own studio, you will see me sewing. I have two sewing machines, a regular one and overlock, because I also enjoy sewing clothes. Next, I need to assemble the top half of the snail's face. I will turn the antennae right side out before sewing the whole thing because that will be almost impossible afterwards. And I will also add stuffing. I will sew the bottom half of the snail head together and then turn the antennae right side out again and add stuffing. There are two areas on the sides of the head that are difficult to sew with the sewing machine because there are several layers of fabric that needs to be sewn in several directions. It will be easier to do this by hand, it's just more precise. Next, I will sew the rest right side right, first by hand and then with the sewing machine. Remember to leave an opening for stuffing. I'll choose the matching thread and sew the opening. To keep the head in correct position like in the online image, I sew it to the snail's body. Next, I like to create wrinkles where the body bends so it curves more backwards. I sew the edges around to create a sharper edge. The next step is making the arms. I drew the arm patterns as planned, one facing up and the other straight, and then cut them twice from the fabric. In this moment, my son came home from school and decided he wasn't entirely happy with the shape of the snail's body, so I started all over again. I created a new pattern with a wider body and a larger head. I decided to make the head separately and attach it to the body later. This will allow it to be positioned more like in the reference picture. This time I added wrinkles to his back while sewing on the machine. In my opinion, they look much better. I sewed the head and body separately on the machine, leaving the neck unstitched because that's where I will sew the head in the right angle. All other steps was the same as the first time. There you go, snails together. I think it was a good decision because the second one turned out much better and more professional. The arms, of course, turned out to be too small. I expected that. I quickly made a new pattern and sewed the bigger ones. The snail in the graphics has patches on its body like a real snail. I don't have time for sewing them all, even though I should, but I decided to paint them. Acrylic paint is very durable on fabric, so I'm not worried about it coming off or crumbling. My clothes can confirm that it doesn't come off even after washing in 90 degrees Celsius. finally it's time for his clothes. He's wearing a red tunic and a white apron. I am not a fan of red, so I don't have much of it in my scrap collection, but I have some linen that will work perfectly. I am eyeballing the length and width. This tunic is wider on the bottom, so I am trying to cut out a trapezoid shape. The collar won't be visible under the white apron, so I don't have to think about this. I also cut the sleeve openings. I do this by eye. I just have a bit of practice, although I put much more effort into real clothes and use patterns sometimes. I have to sew the shoulders first, then the round sleeve section. That's the hardest part, I think. Then I have to fold the sleeves in half, right side together, and sew the entire sleeve and side of the tunic. Of course, it turned out that the sleeves were too narrow. I had to remove them and cut larger openings and cut wider sleeves. This time is okay, except the collar is too wide at the back, but I won't change that anymore. I will just sew a piece of elastic. It won't be visible under the apron, which is higher than the tunic in the picture. Now I'm happy with the red tunic, so it's time to move on the apron. This one is even simpler because I cut two rectangles of white cotton by eye. I rounded the top where the neck would be and cut at angle where the shoulders should be. In the picture, the apron sits at an angle on the neck, not on the shoulders. I then shortened it to make it shorter than the red tunic and cut the sides as it needs to be narrower. I sewed the shoulders on the sewing machine and then sewed all the edges. And now it's time for the apron's graphic. The image I have prepared shows a twisted shell with crossbones. However, my son came and told me that the graphic in the other image is different and that he would prefer the other one, which is the logo of the company that published the game War Thunder. From what I understand, Gaijin is the owner of this company or the creator of the game. That's the name of the snail as well, Gaijin. And the logo is a snail with a G inside. I draw the logo with a black acrylic marker and that's it. The last thing I wasn't planning to do, but probably wouldn't be complete without it, it's this cane. When I thought of it, I immediately imagined a chopstick would be the best option. I cut off the excess wood, drilled a hole, and glued a wire post into the desired shape. I reinforced the connection between stick and wire with clay, which I baked so it's cured. The connection is strong and ready for further work. I made a thin strip of clay and covered the entire wire, and using my fingers and tools, I am smoothing the edges until I am satisfied with the result. I'm sorry for not showing my face, but we was all sick for a week, so I look like a zombie. But I really wanted to thank you for half a year of my YouTube journey. This channel doesn't exist without you, so I really wanted to tell you that I appreciate your presence here, and I wanted to wish you Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. And if you are new here, please subscribe, give me some thumbs up, and maybe leave some comments, and we will see each other in the next video. Bye!